So they're gonna have surf and turf and do a new kitchen in there.
I've been expecting some changes down there with
Yeah.
everything that's happened, that's for sure, so. Okay, well, it is 8:30. I call this meeting of the Broward County Commission to order. Please, everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, good Monday morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the little bit cooler weekend overall.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed pretty nice.
A lot better
It was
than-
down. Well, there was a lot of stuff going on around town and the area too, so hopefully everybody is able to get out and enjoy something fun. So, first thing we probably need to do is I'm gonna make a motion that we move Clancy Holman's executive session from today till Thursday. He's not gonna be with us today, so we'll go ahead and make that second. Okay, it's been moved to second on moving the executive session. Plan for later on the meeting until Thursday. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And with that, we'll go ahead and move right into some public comments. Not seen anybody on Zoom this morning, so we're gonna start there. And it seems like Shiloh's got something for us, so go ahead, Shiloh.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to let you know that our Nimbus upgrade that was to take place over the weekend was not successful. So they rolled back our mover system back to where it was on Friday. So we're supposed to get a new date when that's gonna happen. So just keep in mind, we'll have to do the whole stop titles early again once they have a new date for it. So I just wanted to update you on where we were on that, so.
How do you spell that?
The initials are NMVTIS, Nimbetus. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to let you know that this morning,
All
so
right.
thank you and have a great day.
Yeah. Technology. It's great when
yeah.
it works. It's not when it doesn't, right? So, okay. Did you have anything, John, this morning? No? Okay. St. Louis won
All weekend.
all weekend. So you're no longer allowed to go to any of those games now.
I did not prove that night.
Notice that.
Didn't want to rub it in today.
They tried to win.
Yeah, they tried.
Started off early and it came back late.
Yeah. September 1st, it's time to just call up everybody and start planning for the future, I guess. So hopefully that's what they do. They've got some talent waiting in the wings. So, okay, well, I'll go ahead and close off the public comment section this morning then, and we'll go ahead and move on to commission comments, and we'll start with Commissioner McKinley.
This weekend was Leonardville Hullabaloo. Friday night, I attended the Ranch Rodeo. Never been to one, you need to go. It's exciting times. These guys stick their neck out there.
Yeah.
God. And sometimes they do, but it's fun to watch. And then went back on Saturday, I looked at all the car show entries and stuff. Of course, I was particularly interested in the old Mustangs. They had several of them fixed up, looking like they just rolled off the showroom floor. And a lot of other cars. They had a good crowd of people there. Saw some of the kids pedal tractor pull, which was interesting. I've heard about that. I'd never gotten to see that before. And then I finished the day off with ice cream social, which featured Call Hall ice cream. I only went through once.
All you need.
I could have gone back several times, but I just stuck with once. And that was, other than that, and mowing, catching up on mowing at home. Had a good weekend.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Foki.
Okay, yeah, I did a lot of catching up on yard work and housework, that kind of thing over the weekend. Friday, I did come down to the office for a bit and go over some items, relating to the upcoming sales tax and law board, and have reviewed all those documents. And then I met with Clancy for a bit to kind of clarify a few things on the legal issues on the church. Saturday, I was gonna go to the Hullabaloo and I had to spend all day mowing the grass. And I was taking care of the yard, the gardens, and cooking and getting ready for, possibly not being able to cook this week. But I did, let's see, I caught up today. The ATA is going live today on their new phone app. So they're getting the information out. So that's really exciting. I am going to meet with Stephanie Pierce this afternoon on an update on the task force, the chamber task force, which I think that too. So other than that, I won't be here. Well, I may be here Thursday on Zoom, depending on if I can drive. I'll be here, but I'm having the eye surgery tomorrow, so if they'll let me drive, I'll come back on Thursday. So we'll see. So that's I've talked with Trevor, about Zooming. So that's all I have.
Okay. Well, for me, roll back to Thursday. Did have the latest Zoom call with the Manhattan Area Recovery Task Force. Of course, the last time we met was in person for the first and probably only time. That was in June. Alice gave a update on behalf of Riley County. Others gave updates on recent changes in the protocols with the upticks in cases due to the Delta variant and various other things. Had a pretty broad discussion on how to get a larger and broader range of people vaccinated. Discussion on how to spend ARPA funding. Really just still a conversation on that, just due to timelines. Various other grants and other financial resources that may and could be available and could impact the area moving forward as well. We're going to meet again in October for sure. We may meet sometime in September as well. A lot of people are kind of pushing out some of those protocols that they're doing until mid to late September. So might be need to have a discussion on that. October's meeting may or may not be the last time we meet. Some point in time, the purpose of that particular task force was to develop some kind of a strategy and plan moving forward, and then get it updated in letter form and get it sent over to the city's office. That was the whole point of it. I don't know that in almost 18 months, this is a task force that was started in mid-April of last year. It seems like eternity, but really hasn't been technically that long. But feels like to me we still haven't been in recovery just yet. So, my recommendation might be to leave this open for a while as we kind of roll through some other things. The discussion with ARPA funding, I think, still may make this a relevant task force moving forward as we try to figure out how to go and how to get through all this. But I don't know that we're technically there. To me, we may need to, I don't want to say meet every month, but maybe once a quarter or something, maybe throughout 2022 to kind of get a little bit more definitive plan if we're wrapping that up. That was my thoughts that I was thinking about afterwards, and I'll of course discuss that when we do meet again. But I think it's been more of the Manhattan Area Reactionary Task Force, because we just haven't really been able to get out in front of anything. And though our conversations and discussions have been wonderful over this course of time, I think the full-fledged recovery just hasn't come just yet. So Thursday afternoon after that meeting, I had a monthly Zoom call with the crisis intervention team, which is part of the Riley County Mental Health Task Force. Can you discuss a couple of old items of business, including the CIT international program and the STEP program. And I'm expecting at some point in time a presentation to come forward with us on that. It's probably going to be Director Butler and Robin Cole trying to develop that, something that was put back in place in 17, somewhere in there, and it's kind of needs to be updated. We need to come up with a different resolution and stuff for that. So that'll be something that'll be coming up down the road. I don't know when specifically, but another discussion of old business was a state CIT council whom we need to put on there. We're going to ask some possible family members of some of the group members if they may or may not want to be on there too. A couple items of new discussion was a 2021 Kansas Mental Health Summit. And other officers and emergency personnel that will be available to do some of those things specifically during a CIT training session that still working on here in Manhattan. That was supposed to happen early last spring. guess you can probably figure out why it didn't. And now we're trying to regroup and figure out what direction to go with that. So Friday, as I mentioned a little bit ago via Zoom, we had a presidential listening session with Manhattan community leaders, the University Foundation, and the consulting firm Witt Kiefer. I hope I'm saying that right. I guess that's the committee that's been brought on to kind of help the steering committee or search committee kind of work through the process next president for the university. Foundation of this particular conversation, they've had several of these. This wasn't the only one. It's to put a strategy together to begin the process of finding the right set of candidates that will eventually develop into the right person that will be the next president of Kansas State University. A couple interesting things there. There's not a lot of university searches going on for this right now, which is kind of beneficial. A lot of smaller schools. The only really bigger schools right now they mentioned that are looking are Penn State and the University of Connecticut. So those are kind of East Coast schools. So a lot of dialogue, a lot of things that you probably would consider was discussed. A few other things, maybe not so much. All I can say is the person that we do find and the person that we do put in place has big shoes to fill and a lot of work moving forward. So. Also on Friday, of course, if you remember back to Thursday, we took some pictures over at the courthouse in the county attorney's building. I did get those up on social media accounts for, I guess, KAC was sponsoring what they called, I guess, county courthouse selfie day, but it actually kind of revolves from a more municipal event. But something that's been going on for 6 years now, and this is the first time we've actually actively participated. Got quite a bit of feedback on how beautiful our two buildings there are, and other entities from Kansas, I think, including Shawnee County, Saline County. I can't remember all the counties. There are like 6 or 7 counties participating. So we'll probably see some pictures, some digital or non-digital form moving along the road. Last thing I wanted to mention this morning is we're starting to get some of the very early bits of the 2020 census data. Thought it'd be worth mentioning this morning. I haven't had a chance to get the full details at this point, but it does appear that Riley County over the last decade's up a grand total of 844 people, or what equates to about a 1.19% overall from 2010. That 2010 total was 71,115. I'm assuming that these numbers are accurate. So 71,959 is what we look at currently. So at first look, these numbers are probably what you would both consider a positive and negative in terms of the impacts locally and regionally that they will have. I know that our MSAs and our metropolitan fundings and stuff will probably stay in place. I would assume that the majority of that increase is probably in the city of Manhattan. So I think where we've been concerned about probably isn't going to be much of a concern, but it's not really large scale growth compared to some other things. Potawatomi County grew at over a 12% rate during that same time, the second most in the state behind Johnson County. So a lot of different variables to look at as this data starts to surface. So. And I think that's all I've got. So I want to go ahead and start with some business.
First item I have, Commissioners, is highway use permit granting Evergy permission to complete the work in the right of way to replace a broken pole along Country Road south of Barton Road. Need a motion, please.
Move to approve. Pardon me. I move to approve the highway use permit for Evergy as outlined in the permit.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved to second on the highway use permit for Evergy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please.
Get your arm ready.
Not
Didn't
too
hurt.
bad of a day
I was
today.
gonna say, it didn't hurt so bad after Thursday as much as I thought it probably should have. So.
Not too bad a day today on signatures.
I wonder if that had to do with the recent accidents up there. I wonder.
Probably, yeah. Forgot about that. Next, I have an out-of-state travel request for David G. Willis to attend 2021 International GIE and Expo and Equipment Show in Louisville, Kentucky.
I had a question on that. It says airline ticket $430. Is that a round trip ticket, or why would he want to drive if the mileage was $700 if he could fly. It's on that first item.
You know if that was a round trip or not, I didn't.
Yeah, I need to check that because if I can interject here, the
Yeah.
policy is if they choose to drive, they only get reimbursed the cheaper of the two.
Okay.
And so if it is a 430 round trip airline ticket, that's what they should get reimbursed rather than the actual mileage because that's a personal choice.
That's not.
And so we probably need to wait and if you could find out the correct information on this.
Yep.
Because
Yeah, that's first thing that
Yeah, that
popped
was,
up to me, do it too.
Yeah.
yeah, I was, you beat me to it, but yeah.
that's the policy. If someone
I had a
chooses
question.
to drive and they could do it a cheaper method, then that's on them. So we'll hold off on that if that's okay with the board.
It's only a 10-hour drive. I make it once, sometimes twice a year, so. Yeah, just 40 minutes south of downtown Louisville there is where I usually head, so.
You'll get it verified and then get it back to Cindy to get back on, John.
Yes.
Is there something here?
No, we didn't make an actual motion. They can just come back and bring it back. That's not very good. Did we want to discuss this USSA thing here too?
Yeah, I've got that for the commissioners, so you know, and if you guys would like us to set it up, so Riley County's a member, I'd put in a call for clarification on what it really means by 2 members and 5 members is kind of, I put the 1 year option. And I have not received a return call back, so
Okay.
I called that person directly, so we could just do a 1 year for a 2-member thing. The reason I wanted clarification on that, because if we apply and have to put 2 people's names, and then just our luck, it would be the 3rd commissioner that would want to go that year, and I'd say, well, they're not a member, and so that's why I was kind of,
I already,
You're already a member of AUSA? Okay,
when she sent out that stuff about it, she had that link, and I went and signed it myself.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Because and that's a lot cheaper than that for an individual.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So didn't know if the commissioners wanted a membership on the county.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
You want to do the 2-member thing
2 members, yeah.
for 1 year for $175?
Yeah.
And we can get that set up.
You just remember we need to try to maybe set that up on a yearly.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll send us.
I know we were a member at one point in time and then apparently we're not, but we need to,
Mhm.
I think that's a good call.
Yep, I'm sure they'll send us a renewal each year.
Depending on how the 3-member, in case
No, I know.
in case like Greg didn't want to, if another commissioner would come in and not have a membership, that would be,
Right, that was my thing.
yeah.
We'll get it set up. If something changes and I get back with us on it, we'll figure out where to go.
Okay.
We have to make an official motion to do that anyway, don't we?
It'll just, for that amount, it'll just be in the accounts payable that you
Okay.
guys approve. And so if you approve that, you know, because it's not a substantial amount. Okay, ready for the minutes when the board is.
Everybody got minutes pulled up, ready to go? Okay. We'll go ahead and start off with page 1.
I have something on page 1 on your comments. Some of these acronyms, I don't know what they are, and like LATVR and CCR, and some of those, I was wondering if you could have them spelled out for what they are, like for future reference. I know what CARES are and ARPA.
Did you catch that, Rich? Okay.
Mhm.
CCR is the city county road fund.
City county revenue sharing.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then LAVTR is local ad valorem tax reduction fund.
To statutorily required funds that are no longer funded.
Well, it's just the acronyms always get me because I
I
can't.
knew
don't
early
know what
on here you didn't like acronyms. I remember you saying
I just-
that.
I get all, you get, the military is really good about that. It just, what does that mean? They just spell it out once. It's just, okay.
That was actually on page 2.
So, okay.
Anything else on page 2? Okay, we'll move to page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Hopefully there's no changes on page 11. But page 11.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as amended for August 12th, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved to seconded on the amended minutes for August 12th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, how does tentative agendas look, commissioners?
Fine, do remember I have that 11:30 appointment on Thursday.
Yep, I marked that on the agenda.
Okay, and I haven't heard any word officially on the intergovernmental on Monday.
I haven't either.
Okay.
Any items on next week's press conference? Next, commissioners, maybe, I don't think Craig will be down here at 9 o'clock either, because Clancy said Craig did have something this
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
so I think you have a bit of a break until 9:15 with David Adams.
Okay.
That does now, huh? That's not. That's what you-
Population stuff that came out, it's still just about counties.
Yeah,
It still isn't divided up enough to do anything with it, right?
No.
I tried to find stuff, I couldn't find anything, so I decided it was just,
I got it from one of the Senate working committees or something, put a link out or something about it, but I'm just working on redistricting, but right now all I have is county, so I don't know, yeah.
How's Sam doing?
Good.
Good. Good weekend?
Yeah.
Good.
When you going to DC again?
This week,
Oh.
at least 6 a.m. Thursday.
Ooh.
Kansas City.
You're leaving out of Kansas City?
Yeah, I'm gonna go home Wednesday. My parents are gonna take me to the airport. 'Cause we don't live like, my hometown's only like 45 minutes from the airport, so.
Yeah, it was a nice. My grandmother lived in Leavenworth. I could always
Yeah,
come in a little late and just drive across the river and
yeah, that 6 o'clock flight's early. I'm never taking that one.
although she almost got me in trouble one time. I had dry hands or something, so she gave me some hand lotion. And of course, got all over everything. So when I started going through the machines, it blew every single machine up.
Oh, really?
And she had some real expensive, like nitroglycerin based hand lotion. And it turned off every machine. They're just going through it like crazy.
Kidding
I'm like,
me.
no, I'm not joking at all. I don't have good luck with TSA. I don't know why. I just don't.
Get that guilty look on your face.
I guess. I guess. I was leaving for spring break one year.
House, we were on the hill up on high school in Leavenworth, up there. We could see KCI.
Yeah.
From our house over there.
Yeah, there's not much
We
fog
were
and
10, I can't remember, it's like 11 miles away. But we were on the
take
same
the,
level,
I don't
but they
remember
were.
what highway it is there over the bridge there, and then it takes you into Easton, and then it takes you out to 29 there at Platte City, and then you
Yeah.
just jump south. And
Yeah, it's pretty easy to drive.
Yeah.
Same from Ashland, just across the
Yeah.
bridge to Weston. Right.
Are you flying into Dulles or Reagan?
Reagan.
Yeah,
My friend bought the ticket, so.
yeah, it's easier. You got a
Yeah.
direct flight then?
What?
You have a direct flight?
Yes, because he lives in Baltimore and he's gonna pick me up. I was gonna fly directly into Baltimore. Or I was gonna fly to Baltimore, but there was a, I don't know what you call it, I can't really call it, get on another plane.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I was gonna have to stop in Chicago. He's like, oh, I can go to DC, it's no problem.
Yeah, Baltimore, I think that Southwest is flying there direct from Kansas City. I don't think they put in their direct flights to Reagan yet. Reagan's easier to get around in. Dulles is so far out of the
I
city.
know. And they're doing so much.
The subway goes out.
Yeah.
So they can get on there and go anywhere.
Yeah, it's very close to town too. I look because it goes when he's landing, goes right over the Capitol and
Wow.
Monument. So yeah, at nighttime it's really cool.
I'm really excited because last one went to DC, went to Smithsonian. One thing I want to see, original Darth Vader costume from Star Wars. I've been there, they're like, oh, it's being cleaned. It won't be out for another like 3 hours. And I didn't have time, so I'm on school. So my buddy texted me, like, what's the one thing you want to see? He's like, what do you want to do when you get to DC? I said, I want to go to Smithsonian. I want to see the Darth Vader costume. Oh, I got some bad news for you. They auctioned it off back in 2019. Someone bought it.
It's a plan B, huh? The original Spider-Man? Something?
They have a C-3PO costume there.
My favorite is the Art Center. That's really a cool place. They got everything, or was. But History Museum's got some pretty awesome things too. Might scare you.
Yeah, I went to the National History Museum.
Natural history, yeah.
War, like all the wars the US have been in. I saw that. I saw the pop culture stuff. They had the Gone with the Wind dress, go over that board. The curtain rod still on it. That was pretty cool. They had Stephen Colbert's mural painting. Yeah, the show. That's
Yeah, the big mammoth in the Natural History Museum. When you walk in, the great big life-size, looks like, I guess it's fake, but it's I don't know if it's real, but it's huge. It's,
Maybe getting tickets to the traveling Auschwitz Museum.
no,
Can we
where
come
is
through
that?
Kansas City?
Oh, when one can't come into it.
Where is
That's
that?
in October.
I don't know. My wife, my daughter, one of my daughters and wife have been reading books on that, and they're both gonna get tickets to go. All the girls are.
I think it's going on. I think it started in June.
Did it start in June?
Yeah, it's my parents are wanting to go. So.
Okay, yeah. Good morning. How you doing, sir?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
We're gonna get the Holocaust Museum. That's what was it? Something.
So you're done with all this, I can scroll down?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Start doing it, well, better not overstep my bounds
Yep.
here.
No, we're just
Worst
waiting
thing
for
may
your
happen, we just have to go back.
official time to get here at 9:15. Good weekend?
Yeah, I've got a cold.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah. Half of the people in my family are on antibiotics for cold that turns into a sinus infection, and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm negative for COVID, been tested,
Everybody thinks that.
but, so. Other than that, not too bad. How about you guys?
Doing all right.
I'm just, this is usually the favorite time of the year, football season and
Mm-hmm.
baseball
there.
playoffs, and it starts to cool down a little bit. Last year was such a mess, I never really got to enjoy it, so I'm hoping that it'll balance back out a little bit this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I drove by K-State Homes this morning. They have two huge, the ones on this side of town, two huge, Howie's dumpsters there, and they were full, and there was stuff sitting outside of them that wouldn't fit inside the dumpster.
Yeah, it's also that time of the year, we just seen the strangest and oddest stuff just sitting on corners.
Yeah.
Next to mailboxes.
Mhm.
Just like, really? Okay.
My son made the mistake as a young college student, him and his best buddy rooming together of picking up what looked like a perfectly fine couch.
Uh-huh.
The problem is they couldn't see the fleas that it was infested with.
That's a lesson learned
When the
right
last
That
time
was a
I moved
lesson
with
learned.
roommates, they did the same thing. They picked up a couch in some place and it was full of bed bugs. Try getting rid of those apparently.
Yeah, those would be worse
Oh,
than
yeah.
fleas, probably.
Yeah, it was free
His furniture we moved out was mine, so. That was vacation?
Vacation was fantastic.
Good.
It was very, very good. So it was, we had a great time, and
Seen a couple pictures of, I don't know what that thing was that you were staying in, but
a yurt,
yeah.
Yeah.
a round house. That's
You
what-
prefer a Marriott?
No, I just prefer something that looks more like camping rather than what I was actually seeing there, so.
Had an
That's all good.
outhouse and everything,
Yeah.
no running water, in the plains of Alaska, that's what you do.
You
Yeah.
camp in Alaska, you can get eaten, so.
I think yurts, I think, came from Sweden or Norway, something like that.
Yeah, the Scandinavian countries,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, there's a family that lives in one up off by Blue Hills
Mhm.
area.
Marriott. Listen to you over there.
They're really different.
It was really different, and there, so in the middle is where, in the traditionals where they have the stove, and the pipe goes up to the roof, so the roof is like plexiglass, so light comes through. And where we were at, it gets dark at midnight and starts to get light about 3.
Yeah.
So, you have to be really tired.
That'd be tough for
To
me to
get-
sleep.
Absolutely. I think at least one of our girls had one of those masks because it's bunk beds. So she slept on the top bunk and she had brought her little mask thing to help her sleep.
That's what I did, because as soon as I start seeing or
Same.
sensing light, then
Yeah.
I'm up.
Well, I was awake when I was hearing footsteps on the deck around the outside of the yurt.
You told me about that.
What was it?
I don't know what it was. So yeah, I knew it wasn't a bear,
Bigfoot, maybe.
but I don't know what it was, but you could hear the claws on the,
Ew.
and when we went eye to eye, I mean, like kind of through the door, and I'll lose, so I'm gonna stay. But so it was, I don't know, no idea what it was, but I was inside and it was outside, and I was happy with that.
Mike Kearns had a daughter, and may still live in Alaska, but they lived in Earth. And he used to tell me about it from her husband.
They'll probably do camping that way, I don't know,
Oh,
all the time.
living full
I
time.
think it'd be kind of cool.
Problem is the heat. Plumbing.
Yeah, the plumbing, yeah,
Plumbing,
definitely have an
yeah.
outhouse, for sure.
Yeah, and the outhouse was about 20 yards away, so it was interesting. We had a lot of fun with it.
Just have to check that there's none of those creatures around.
Absolutely.
That's one of the good things about it being light so much, at least, is that at least you could see
Yep.
just before you got eaten. You could see what you eat.
See, this is why you go to those places with two people.
Right.
The reason being is you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than the person you're with.
Absolutely. And I told my daughters, I'm not above, grabbing, pulling, pushing,
Tripping.
Yeah.
Throwing.
I have no shame.
Okay, well, with that, go ahead and enlighten us, Dave.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, EMS Ambulance Director with my monthly update. Starting off with operations, calls for service. July, we had 483 calls, with 18 in North County. And as I talk about it down below a little bit, that's the busiest month in the history of our department.
Really?
Yep. So we've gone back as far as we can go back, and through our electronic medical recording from 17 years ago, it's like 48 calls above the busiest, and then on those months we had football games and stuff. So absolutely busiest month in the history of our department. So broken the call volume down by station. As you can see, Medic 11 at our main station, 178, Station 2, 156. Those are Station 3, which is at Public Works, 78, and Station at the airport, 67. And those are consistent with what we see every month. Those that breakdown of calls in those stations. So, as I said, busiest month. When we look at COVID and some of these, we break it down by 2-week increments. And when it comes to, we don't always know if a patient's COVID positive, right? If they know it and they tell us, but we look at the signs and symptoms. We run reports on the crew's impression and from them talking to them. And so it's our best way of guessing. The last 2 weeks of July were the busiest in the whole COVID situation that we've had. Compared to November of 2020 and then January of 2021, we had some pretty big spikes in the community. So we were transporting, we believe, 2 to 3 COVID patients a day through the month. So, we got through it. We've been taking care of the patients. Haven't had any difficulty with keeping up with the call volume. For a short burst like this, we'll be fine. If that were the norm, we'd be having a different conversation. But so they're really proud of the staff. I mean, they're working their tails off and running the calls and taking the patients to the out of town hospitals, as we need to. So next, the active violence training was July 20th through 22nd, and it went well. We do this every year, as I've mentioned, with Manhattan Fire Department, Riley County Police Department, K-State PD, some of those. So big thank you to the Manhattan Catholic Schools for letting us use their facility. And as I've talked about in the past, we have formed a relationship with Fort Riley with some of their medic units, combat medic units and such. And Major Kerman, who is leading that from Fort Riley, he's a PA. over there. He came over and he spent all 4 days with us and went over some of the tricks of the trade that they had learned in combat with our staff. So really appreciated that. I mean, he gave us some ideas and changed the ways we do some of our patient treatment, you know, so that we've never seen, never heard of, you know, but they're the experts when it comes to something like this. So really appreciated that relationship that we're building with them. And we learned a lot and they learned a lot as well. Our staff, we continue to wear masks while in public and on all calls. We continue to, anytime we have staff interaction with somebody who's not their normal partner, that they are masked up. So 29 out of our 30 full-time employees are vaccinated. So, and then our unvaccinated is to be in a mask at all times, unless they're in a room by themselves with the door closed. So, they continue to do well with that. I think everybody's tired of masks, obviously. You know, and just like what the county's doing, we're keeping an eye on it and such, but we're following CDC guidelines best we can and in the industry norms, what we're seeing throughout the country. Josh and I are continuing to assist HR with policy manual update. We're getting ready to dump a bunch of policies over to her. We continue to work with County Fire on the first responder related topics and some of their training and things. So I think we're getting ready to roll some of that out here fairly soon. So Alex, our quality control and our educators was the lead instructor for a class at the Kansas EMS Association conference. So that was good. And he taught with the person who wrote the program. So, I sat through about half of the class. It was an 8-hour class, and I couldn't sit through 8 hours, but I thought he did well. I thought he represented us very well. Our orientation of our new employees is going well. Several have finished or are very close to finishing, and then we have 2 more starting. We can only do 3 at a time. So when we bring on 5, we just have to stagger them. But, you know, everybody's either completed or they are in the process. The new program takes a little longer to get through, but it's much more thorough. And I think we're seeing a better product on the other end. So I'm really, really pleased with it. And then last, Alex is working with our staff on preparing for the fall standby season. Football season's here less than a month, and high school and college, and we had a soccer game last night, I believe, that we did a standby for. So we're preparing the staff with the training and the orientation and all of that. We do it every year. You know, for some of them, you know, staff have been here for 15 years. It's the 15th time they've sat through something similar to this. We always tweak it a little bit, but you know, that's part of what we do. So, and then lastly, community outreach. We participated in several functions, including the Everybody Counts event at Douglas Center. The Boys and Girls Club had an event, and we were there and participated, as well as the standby to the Cobb Valley Rodeo. So, and then, you know, we're conducting CPR classes. You know, people are starting to ramp that back up, and we're trying to help do our part as best we can. And then we've done quite a bit of training with the security company out at MBAF. So we've been very busy with them, with the different trainings that they need. So they're keeping us on our toes as well. Any questions on any of that? Okay, and then here's just the breakdown of the calls. Medic 12 to 4 were different events, or at one point we had a day where we were getting kind of busy, so we brought another truck on for just a little bit to kind of help us out. So a lot of times that's Alex and Josh, or you know, or somebody like that. They'll jump on a truck and help us out. So breakdown of our days, we'll call per day. You know, we're seeing an uptick on Friday and Saturday. You know, so not to be, you know, to be expected, but we're starting to see more of those. You know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday being the busiest days, which is typical for us. So, and then last are times, and you know, And it looks like it, starts about 4 o'clock and run pretty steady till about 11 o'clock midnight, time frame right around there. So nothing unusual for us there, so. All right, any questions for me?
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have a good day, good week.
Sir, you too. I sent you an email, I had a question about a conference.
Yep.
Sorry, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Next, Commissioner, we have press conference, 9:30. Since Sherman left, but since you already have a membership to AAU, we'll put Catherine and John's name if they ask for two names, since it's a two-member thing, just so you know, and then we can reassess next year. But I would, have to individually register. The county can do it, so whatever you decide to do next year.
Well, that conference that they have in, I think DC is the one that's gotta be pretty expensive. She was asking me about that.
It was something.
That's when I joined. I'd seen that stuff, wrote all that, but wanted to get, and I've started getting emails from them to send out information.
Something the chamber locally in Fort Riley really would like for a commissioner to attend. Commissioner Mike Kearns and Commissioner Bob Boyd used to attend annually. Of course, they were both previous military service, so they had a high interest in it. So, but I know the local military and the chamber really appreciate it. Business people.
Well, it'd be good to go, but it's, I thought it was that big conference or the conference in KC, the KAC conference, and that one, I'd probably go over our budget for travel, that kind of stuff. It would be a good one to go to.
Yeah, no, I would recommend that one of you go for sure. I'm sure your budget has enough for one of you to go.
One of us.
Yeah.
Well,
Come on, Tammy.
Everybody?
Good. Gary got 2 big loads of firewood this past week, and it's too hot to be doing firewood.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of it's mulberry. That
Really?
stuff is so doggone heavy. Gosh,
Oh,
it's
really?
heavy wood.
Now, the first thing I gotta do is move this year wood closer to the house. Then I've got 3 tree trucks laying there waiting to be blocked up, so.
Yeah, I got a bunch of dry stuff. I got a good supply already split, but I got one pile for split up for this year, and then all that I set back because it's too green. It won't be ready for till next year.
Or burn well.
It'll burn well. It's just a soft wood, so
It is soft.
you get more ash and yeah, any of the burn produce heat, but I prefer the hardwoods. Oak, black locust, mulberry's good.
Elm, but that's the trees that came down in my yard the last storm, so that's what I had.
Elm will burn.
It burns.
Red elm's really good.
Yeah, and some of it was, and I didn't know if the neighbor was telling me, oh, yeah, this is some elm.
I don't know what it is, Gary, about red elms, but they always die once they get about that big and the roots just die and they just fall over. You ever used it?
Yeah, I've used it, but everyone I've used it has been a dead tree.
Yeah, they do. They get no bigger around than that, and something in the root system dies, and they're just perfect because you don't got to hardly split them or anything.
No.
But man, they are a hard elm. It is nice burning firewood.
As opposed to most elm, which even with the splitter, you just tear it apart.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible to split. The neatest to split is hackberry, but not the best to burn. That stuff splits the plain.
Walnut.
Walnut too.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 9:30. Time for press conference this morning. It looks like Alvin, you're up first. Morning, sir.
Alvin Perez, Operations Manager, Public Works. We have public notice for a structure replacement project. We're going to be doing that on Wildcat Creek Road. Scheduling to start that next Monday. This will be a 2-week project because of the complexity. We've got a lot more work to do out there, just so we can get it done before we allow traffic back through there. The project is located 2.4 miles west of Scenic, or 0.8 of a mile north of Saddle Rock Road. We will have that road closed in that area for construction and hopefully have it open back up by Thursday, September 2nd, weather permitting. So, any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Alvin.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yep. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Gary Rashape, Assistant Public Works Director. Wanted to let you and public know that August 23rd, a week from today, Monday, the contractor will be moving in and starting a replacement project on the Sin Road Bridge. Project is located just east of Union Road. So Union Road or Sin Road from Union Road to Walnut Creek Road will be closed to through traffic. We've got about 100 working days on this project, so we anticipate it being completed mid to late January. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I did that. Are there how many homeowners are out there that will have to find alternate routes?
There aren't any homeowners on the stretch. No.
Okay, well, that's good.
No, it's all farm ground. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And last but not least, we've got Tammy this morning with some good news too.
Yeah. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Tammy Robinson, Budget and Finance Officer. I'm here to present an upgrade to our ratings from Moody's Investor Service. They assign the ratings for our bonds that we go out to purchase. So on August 10th, they released the Moody's Investor Service has upgraded to AA1 from AA2, the rating of Riley County, Kansas's general obligation unlimited tax debt. Concurrently, Moody's has assigned an AA1 rating to Riley County, Kansas's 2.5 million general obligation refunding bonds, Series B 2021, which is the one we will be refunding. Following the sale, the county will have 11.4 million of gold debt outstanding. The ratings rationale: the upgrade to AA1 reflects the county's improved credit profile evidenced by a growing tax base supported by considerable institutional presence, stable financial operations with healthy and growing reserves, and manageable debt and pension burdens. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Definitely no concerns there.
That is awesome. Yes,
I
yes.
think that's a testament to not just current staff and current commission, but years worth of work and due diligence by a lot of different people. So I think we should take a moment to say thank you to everyone for that, because that's what's made this possible.
Yeah, it's a great team at Riley County.
Tammy, could you get them a copy of the report too? Just stick it in the box if you would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you okay if it's electronic or do you want me to print one out for you?
Electronics fine. Electronics fine.
Okay, all right, I'll send you an email with that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good morning.
You too.
Next, commissioners, I am up at 9:50. Or we will not have the executive session at 10:20.
Correct.
You guys are lucky, two of you are lucky enough to have law board.
Oh, yeah,
Doesn't look like a long meeting though.
doesn't, no. You never know.
True. True.
Yeah, well, the weather was nice. I know Saturday and yesterday, loading and unloading heavy wood was not the best weather for that.
It felt like it got a little warm yesterday afternoon, but the humidity's down.
And I unloaded early. It was Saturday. That was, but the benefit of having a 27-year-old son
Sure.
too. So
Oh, that helps.
Relatively early Saturday, and it was gorgeous Saturday morning.
Yeah.
the mornings are all week. They're supposed to be 60. You know, and that's what I said. You know, if it got in the 90s, I wouldn't hate it as much if the nights cooled down in the 60s. You know, but when it cools down to 75 or 80 at night, there's
Yeah.
no relief. You get up in the morning.
I was looking at the 15-day forecast. It's pretty consistent. So it's always that first and second week of September where it always seems like it just jumps a little bit. Let's just hope if that's the case, it's just a little bit.
You will jump for the football game.
Yeah. I don't like it being 95, 100 degrees mid-September. It's just ridiculous.
No.
I was surprised. This week, usually the first week back in school, it's it starts early, most of it now.
Yeah, when I was in school, they didn't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Those first couple of weeks were just miserable.
Like that first 2 years. Actually, I think the first 3 years of high school, but I think my junior year was pretty cool that year, if I remember right. That's 30-something years ago. I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't know. Used to have heat days for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the school year. Yeah. Heard that pretty clearly.
Where it's been one snow day, it was the first snow day ever. We called it a day late because had school one day because we had a huge snowstorm. I kept school on and there was so much traffic, I couldn't get through everything, so they called off the next day. That first, that evening it started warming up. Everything thawed out. The next day was great. Everybody was out sledding.
I think if I remember, we had 2 snow days while I was in high school. One of them was because we had like 16, 17 inches of snow and it happened overnight. They just didn't have a chance to get everything cleaned up. The other one was due to cold. They couldn't start the buses one morning.
Oh.
So that pretty much ends that. So,
We had a few, and me and my best buddy were going elk hunting later this fall. He'd walk over to my house on snow days when we were in high school or junior high, and we'd walk from my house to the river, which was about 2 miles, and just hunt and walk back.
Did you ever trap?
Oh, yeah. I trapped last year. The local farmer that I,
A couple times trapping. In winter.
me and him were both big trappers.
That was. Felt like, maybe I just picked them.
Yeah,
Trapped a beaver down by a creek. You'd get one, you end up in the creek half the time trying to get them out.
that's what I did this past winter. The neighbor that I hunt on his land, they get beaver problems in their creek from time to time, and I'll go down and he asked me to trap them for him. We got 4 of them last year.
what do you do with them?
Skin their pelts out and then send them off, get tanned. Usually, I mean, when I was trapping heavy, it used to do it for income, you know. When I was in high school, I used to make good money back then, first worth a lot. And even when my son was in high school, I taught him how, and he'd do it and sell them, send them to Canada, send them to the auctions in Canada.
That's what I heard though, that is.
Prices are really down. Prices are really down.
No, people aren't buying.
What dictates fur prices are China and Russia being really cold, because it's a proven fact there's nothing near as warm as real fur, and the oil economy doing good. If oil's good and China and Russia are cold, fur prices go up. But countries that have real weather, yeah, you won't find them wearing a synthetic made coat. It's real fur.
I got a couple fur coats and I really haven't had to wear them for a long time. So it's so warm.
You like deer, Rich?
Archery only.
Probably been out in South Points during deer season. I was, at the school board meeting last week, and there was 3 deer just walking down the street.
Oh, really?
By the high school, yeah.
That's cool.
On the parking lot there that's adjacent to the west of the education center, where they put all the walkways and stuff in there, there used to be a fence in there. One spring or something, I was coming out for lunch and the deer had tried to jump that fence and missed. Got lodged in the fence and really injured itself trying to get out of the fence and couldn't.
That's too bad.
So yeah, might have been a kind of a shock for some maybe. I don't know.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got so thick in town in Leavenworth, they started an open season in the fall and the larger open areas on the side of which town, because they were just marching through town.
Yeah, you'll see special seasons and permits in certain areas where they get overpopulated in closer to towns where they have a.
For some reason, we live, like I said, on that hill. That was one of the main paths. It was a milo field up on top of the hill. And they came down every night. For some reason, our yard was the path.
Well, you gotta remember,
Town.
I mean, everything to the east of you, there's pushed them all your direction because it's all highly developed. And so everything that was there is displaced and either.
Well,
has-
on part of it, they built a 20th Street up kind of just outside of town on the west, and that kind of disrupted it. But I mean, we counted 16 in our yard.
Wow.
And they retained, they said, oh, but you're supposed to put soap out or something because they don't like.
Yeah,
They
Irish
were
spring is, yeah. that
They were
would
used to
work.
this. You could walk out and within, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet of them, if you just walk real slow, they'd look at you. Finally got close enough, they take off, but they were so used to being around people.
Yeah, Ron Wells had a pet deer too that he was feeding all the
Yeah.
time. Like one he could almost get close enough to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they eat all the tops of flowers off.
But that's, oh, yeah, we didn't have it, couldn't have the garden up there.
No, so that.
And that was the problem, they were
For
going all
sure.
through town, tearing up trees.
Yeah,
I've been surprised. I've seen several fawns this year, which surprises me as bad as the coyote population, because I got some coyotes this winter too because the population's so high. But I was surprised the fawn crop in our area looks pretty good because coyotes are hard on fawns.
Yeah, I've seen a handful in the mornings out on Eureka and Wildcat Creek Road.
what, coyotes or
Deer,
deer?
young deer. Coyote population must have shifted away from there a little bit to someplace else, or I don't know.
It's probably down by my house, there's a bunch of them out there.
Could be.
Out at night.
I think coyotes get a little bit more spooked by the sounds of freedom, maybe. But deer, I don't know.
It's like all animals, they get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, they get acclimated. Just like smells, you know, if the smell's there all the time, they get acclimated to it. That's something you think it's about hunting season, so.
Dove season.
Yep, September 1st.
We didn't have any this year. We've always had a bunch in our area.
I've seen quite a few out in our area.
We didn't this year because you could hear them hollering all the time. for some reason this year, and there was one, I don't know if it's the same, that's our house goes up to a peak at the top. And there was one that always sat up there. I don't, just a high spot to keep an eye on things, but there was always one sitting up there, kind of keeping an eye on everybody. And I say we didn't see any this year. I don't know.
I've actually got a pretty good quail population. I've seen a fair amount in here, quail right around our house a lot in our road. There's one spot where I keep seeing quail, they dart across the road, you know? But yeah, it's good to see the quail.
We got a family of cardinals.
Got one of those too.
Yeah, it's really kind of neat.
Yeah.
Before, like, I only had like maybe one or two, and they must have babies or whatever, but now they're all coming around.
And they
for
kind of
food.
stick around for a little while, the babies do, so you
Yeah.
can kind of see them go from dull colors to see them turn them into males.
Yeah, they're.
If they get a little bit darker, yeah.
Mhm.
I got
Darker
that,
and
I've got a family of rabbits.
Oh, yeah, rabbits.
Those are they must be getting used to us or something too, because they'll
Oh, I
they'll just stick around there and watch you. They don't
Yeah,
really
they're-
move or
I got
go
some
anywhere. There's a couple of us, if I got some old potatoes or eggs or something, I'll just kind of throw them out there and let them do whatever it is they're doing, so.
I've got one little bunny that's about this big.
Yeah.
He lives under I have this thing of wildflowers. It's kind of hides.
They'll
He'll
hide
go in
in-
my garden and I'll yell at him, but he just.
Yeah. When it gets windy or rainy, they just kind of hang out underneath my truck and just kind of hang out. I think I've seen as many as 3, and I'm thinking there's 4.
Had a nest under our deck this year. We
Yeah.
got there and stomp around, they take off. I've got a garden, and first year, but I got some of that stuff that's supposed to, whatever it is, sprinkle around it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's Irish spring around it, they flush the garden.
Really? I've tried everything except I did order some repellent, but just spray on ground by them.
I say this with some granular.
I said human hair is the best thing that
I
works for them.
tried
but
that.
I don't think it's gonna work in our case because they're already used to us, so they already smell all that, so.
Well, I got some hair from my. I think it's an old wives' tale.
Hey, ladies doing
Good, how are you?
good.
Got new containers?
Different, smaller.
Yeah, see that.
Yeah, that's way smaller.
Yes. Smaller election.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Last time it was 1,400,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
It was like.
You had
We had
mail
multiple
containers full of stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mail containers.
Yes.
This was much less, not as stressful.
Because the password won't work.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's the campus report that I'll go over.
All right, thank you.
For some reason, I read the wrong one. So, you doing?
Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Unfortunately, I bring you this news today, the request to fill the Public Information Officer position. Had a good discussion with Alice. She just had a better opportunity for her family and all the way around, financially and convenience for her family. So asked for the board's permission to refill that position. I think Alice has done a good job in getting us off to a good start in that position, which is a credit to her experience. So it's kind of my philosophy. You know, I try to hire the best candidate. You never know how long any candidate's going to be here, no matter what their situation. And so change is constant. So, of course, I will be coming back to the board at some point in time to see about possibly in the interim contracting with Alice part-time until we get a person in the full-time regular position again. And then maybe for a week or two after that to help get them started on the right foot. But especially during this time of COVID when there's a lot of work to be done for the public information officer. I think we've proven, not just due to the emergency situation with COVID, but the other departments have found it to be a great resource. And so I think the position has panned out like we thought it would. Unfortunately, when you get those positions, you become dependent on them as well, and it helps take the workload off department heads and other staff. And so when we go through this hiring process, I'd suggest we use that same committee that we had before, which was Elizabeth, David Adams, and Julie Gibbs and myself, and start getting it out to advertise. And that's what this yellow slip will allow us to do. I did clarify on the yellow slip. It said termination of incumbent. It's not a termination. It's a separation of service, voluntary separation of service.
That's
All on good terms.
That'd be good indication because it said the 27th. Usually termination is a little bit more sudden. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
You can stay on for 2 weeks, but after that, you're gone.
Unfortunately, some people focus on the word termination. So
Okay. Yeah, I think since we originally had this discussion last fall, that from my perspective, the only issue I've had along the way is when we actually address it as a ad valorem expense, because right now it's being funded through grants and some other means, that we take a moment to reevaluate and see where we're at on there like we do with all of our positions. But it's proven to be beneficial. I don't see COVID, no COVID, that not being responsive. Alice has done a good job in assessing where we're at as Riley County and the things that we need to do to, I guess, improve and become, I guess for lack of a better term, more modern. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but we'll go with that. So I think it would be a good idea to use her in a contract position, if nothing else, just to have that overlap, because we're working on some rebranding and some other things, and that person needs to be able to have that time to interact and pick up on that, whichever direction we need to go at that time. I think that would be appropriate.
yeah, and I'll bring that in a separate card, Commissioners. All I'm asking for is to advertise the position as is now, and then present another card for the Commissioners to entertain contracting with her on a part-time basis after she ends her employment with Riley County. Clancy's working on that as well.
I am hopeful that the person that we get is one. I think this is a position that we need to have some continuity for a while. And so I'm hopeful that we can get somebody in place that'll be here. I'm not saying forever, but long enough to get through some of this rebranding, long enough to build a good, solid reputation, rapport around the community. Yeah.
Well, that's the
She
key.
kind of got us spoiled, I think.
You always want some continuity, but like I visited with others, I mean, no matter who you hire, there's no guarantee. They don't sign a contract. There's just no idea how long any employee is going to change due to family status change or whatever. And so always try that, and we will next time as well, but it's impossible to guarantee.
And part of the interview process requires them not being a Yankees fan this time.
Yeah, I know. Or a Cardinals fan. Or,
Right.
you know, yeah, I know. I agree. And there could be even a couple worse mentioned on the college level. So
That's, ooh, yeah,
we can see if we can insert those as questions on the interview.
Okay.
Where is she on the redoing the webpage? Is that part of that branding, or is that?
Yeah, she works on that constantly. Unfortunately, right now, COVID once again is taking a lion's share of her time right now. But yeah, her and Kevin continue to work on that. And, she's already made a lot of improvements to the website, but there's additional, more significant improvements they want to make.
So that would be a good reason to
Yeah.
contract with her to
Yeah.
get that finished.
And we were working on the social media remediation policies and several other things. I think we've got a good spot where all of our social media accounts are kind of streamlined and working fairly effectively. And departments, I think, are working fairly effectively on getting specific information out. So we've come a long ways in 8 months, but I do think we need to be building some continuity and a good solid foundation with this, for the future. I think it's a necessary component.
Definitely giving us a better presence on social media.
I don't have any issues with advertising you filling this position.
No.
No, I move to approve, approving the sole position of public information officer.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the request to fill the public information officer position. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. We'll start it backwards this time. How's that?
You might get backward results, but we'll see.
Yeah, bottom line first.
I have faith.
Yeah. I'm signing on the bottom line and we'll work our way up.
Next, Commissioners, clerk's office is up for the canvass of the election with the Board of County Canvassers.
Oddly enough, no motion necessary on that one.
Actually, I will ask you to make a motion, so I'm writing that up here now.
Yes, I'm. Okay, we're at 10 a.m. so we can officially start this election canvass.
Sounds good. Commissioners, thank you. Today, right now, is where the Board of County Commissioners by statute sit in your capacity as the Board of County Canvassers. That's by state law. This is for the USD 383 primary election. You'll see on the reports that Susan handed out that we had 4,786 people vote in the process through Election Day, and then, of course, those mail ballots that we could receive as well. We did have 48 provisional ballots. 37 of those are going to be recommended to be counted by the Board of County Canvassers upon your approval. I like to point out with provisional ballots, because a lot of times there's misconception. People get concerned when they vote a provisional ballot that it is not going to be counted in the election, or that I even heard this last presidential election, we only count provisionals in a close election. Nothing could be further from the truth. As long as it's a valid ballot, it is counted. And I always say, about 70% of them are counted. This time, there's 77% of the provisional ballots that were recommended to be counted. And so I'll have Susan, we'll go through the canvas report, polling place by polling place. And before I forget, introduce everyone. Susan, start on the commissioner's right-hand side. Jody, Anita, Kirsten, and Janelle to help us process these. Once the Board of County Canvassers, I'll have you make a motion at the end to certify the 2021 USD 383 primary canvas report. Then we will the staff will open up the ballots, and then we'll take them next door and run them through the optical scan system, because of course they're all paper ballots. And so we have to open them and unfold them, and then we'll run those through. And of course, due to such a small volume of provisional ballots, 37, don't anticipate it changing the results as far as the top 6 vote getters, because none of those races are that close. None of the positions are that close. And of course, the Board of County Canvassers knows that the top 6 vote getters are who move on to the general election in November. Any questions?
Just one comment before we get started. Last year, we opened them in the other office. Do you want us to open them here?
No, we'll open them like last year. Yeah. That's
So
what I
we'll
meant.
open
Yeah,
them
we'll
over there.
open them
Okay,
over
just
there.
to make sure.
We're just gonna separate them out. As you can see, it's clearly marked not accepted and accepted, appropriately colored green and red. And so that's how we'll process those. But people need to understand, Board of County Canvassers is, when you get a provisional ballots, and that's why there's a lag between the time of the election day and the canvass. Staff then goes through and pulls up and reads on the envelope why the reason for the provisional ballot, to be sure that it's statutorily allowed to be covered. And so that's what is done in the interim process. And of course, with the larger elections like last year, that's why we need so much lag time between the two. Any questions? Okay, thank you. We'll get started.
All right, I'll start with Advance. Advance at Riley County Office Building had 1,564 express vote tabulator votes, 441 paper ballots voted, totaling 2,005. There were 11 provisional ballots. Out of those 11, we recommend 9 be counted as valid, 0 as partial, and 2 is not valid because 1 was not registered in 383 and 1 person already voted. In addition, there were 6 federal service ballots, 0 hand counts. The total ballots cast were 2,022. Blue Valley Methodist had 62 EXT votes, 0 paper ballots, totaling 62. There were 0 provisional ballots. So the total ballots cast for Blue Valley was 62. College Avenue had 211 EXT votes, 6 paper ballots, totaling 217. There were 4 provisional ballots. We recommend that all 4 be counted as valid, totaling 221 ballots cast. First Assembly had 263 EXT votes and 0 paper ballots, totaling 263. There were 0 provisional ballots, so the total remains 263. First Luther had 49 EXT votes, 2 paper ballots, totaling 51. There was 1 provisional ballot, and we recommend that one be counted as valid, so the total is 52. Grace Baptist had 103 EXT votes, 1 paper ballot, totaling 104. There were 2 provisional ballots. We recommend both of those be counted as valid, making that total ballots cast 106. Highland had 33 EXT votes and 1 paper ballot voted, totaling 34. There were 3 provisional ballots. We recommend 1 be counted as valid and 2 as not valid because they were not registered. Total ballots cast were 37. LDS Church had 76 EXT votes and 0 paper ballots, totaling 76. There were 0 provisionals, so the total ballots cast remained 76. The Lynx Clubhouse had 55 EXT votes and 0 paper ballots voted, totaling 55. There were 2 provisionals. We recommend both of those be counted as valid, making that total 57. Living Word Church had 320 EXT votes and 0 paper ballots, totaling 320. There were 2 provisionals, and we recommend both of those be counted as valid, making that total 322. Manhattan Art Studio had 73 EXT votes and 3 paper ballots, totaling 76. There were 0 provisional ballots. The total ballots cast remained 76. Manhattan Public Library had 115 EXT votes, 2 paper ballots, totaling 117. There were 4 provisional ballots. We recommend that all 4 be counted as valid, making that total 121. Ogden Community Center had 44 EXT votes, 0 paper, totaling 44. There was 1 provisional. We recommend that one be counted as valid, making that total 45. Potter Hall had 237 EXT votes, 3 paper ballots, totaling 240. There was 1 provisional ballot. We recommend that one be counted as valid, making the total 241. Riley County Senior Center had 37 EXT votes and 4 paper ballots, totaling 41. There were 0 provisionals, so the total ballots cast remained 41. Sedalia had 47 EXT votes and 1 paper ballot, totaling 48. There were 0 provisionals, so that also remains 48. St. Thomas More had 255 EXT votes and 5 paper ballots, totaling 260. There were 3 provisionals. We recommend all 3 provisionals be counted as valid, making that total 263. Trinity Presbyterian had 60 EXT votes and 1 paper ballot, totaling 61. There was 1 provisional, and we recommend that one be counted as not valid because they were not registered in 383. That total ballots cast for that polling site was 62. Unger Complex had 111 EXT votes and 0 paper, making the total 111. There was 1 provisional, and we recommend that one be counted as valid, making the total ballots cast 112. Unitarian has 41 EXT votes, 0 paper, making the total 41. There were 0 provisional ballots, so the total remains 41. Vineyard had 124 EXT votes and 1 paper ballot, making that total 125. There were 2 provisional ballots, and we recommend both of those be counted as valid, making the total ballots cast 127. Westview Community Church had 84 EXT votes, 0 paper, making the total 84. There were 2 provisionals, and we recommend both of those be counted as not valid because neither of them are registered to vote. That total is 86. So the Riley County totals for the EXT votes were 3,964. There were 471 paper ballots voted, totaling 4,435. There were 40 provisional ballots total for Riley County. 33 we recommended to be counted as valid, 0 as partial, and 7 as not valid for the various reasons listed previously. In addition, there were 6 federal service ballots, making that total 4,481. Pottawatomie County, they had 351 total ballots cast. In addition, 8 provisional ballots, and they recommended at their canvas 4 be counted as valid, 0 as partial, and 4 as not valid because they were not registered in 383. So the total ballots cast at their county was 359. Combined county totals, there were 3,964 votes, express vote tabulator votes, 471 paper. The total combined for total ballots cast were 4,786. Total provisionals were 48. 37 were recommended to be counted as valid, 0 as partial, and 11 is not valid for the various reasons listed. 6 federal service, totaling 4,840.
Board of County Councilors have any questions?
We did Potawatomi County do theirs?
When did they do their?
Oh, when did they? Thursday.
Okay.
Any other questions? There are no questions. Ask the Board of County Councilors to make a motion for the 2021 USD 383 primary election canvas to certify those results. And as we spoke up earlier, staff will take those next door and we'll open them, get the creases out of the folded ballots and then run them through the optical scanner and then add those totals to the results. And then we will have the documents for you to sign at the next county commission meeting with those final totals.
I do have one question. On the advance votes, does that include the mail-in?
Yep, that's why there's so many paper. Of course,
Okay.
those are all
That's all the paper?
Those are all paper, but yeah, that's why that number is so heavily skewed to the number of paper ballots.
Okay.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
I make a motion to approve the canvas.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on election canvas 2021 for the city school board primary election. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
$5,000 people.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
These are always low.
13.71%,
How many?
13%, almost 14%. You can just look at some of the small numbers at the polling places. 44 dogs, and it's like, it's not that big. but still.
Well, no, the issue there is they just don't get involved because they always get forgotten about. And they feel like, oh, what's the point? Nobody's gonna listen to us over here anyway.
A lot of people assume that they're out of state people, and that isn't necessarily true.
No, that's true too. So was the last item on the agenda this morning as we moved Fancy's executive session time to, I'm assuming Thursday. Well, it has to be because we made a motion to do that. So law board meeting at 12, as I'm sure you're aware, at City Hall. Outside of that, I don't have anything else this morning.
No other business, commissioners?
Okay, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second on adjournment of the August 16th, 2021 BOCC meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good week.
Good week. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. We're done.
Bag of things, we turn it on. I just can't turn it on.
We still have the law board meeting here, correct? Or are we?
No,
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 So-
no,